That is what this country should basically strive to do. And Samson, before I continue, let me make a quick correction. Please, Sledge, that MIF program is not good for oil. I don't know why anybody wants to now cross the two. MIF had their own gold program that they were doing. If there are problems with that program to do with MIF, please, I'm repeating this on authority. That program was not part of gold for oil. And I hope you correct that, because that IMANI keeps trying to link the two, to try to say that people involved in gold for oil are being held by OSP. Sledge did not partake in gold for oil. IMANI, so I really hope that we make that clear.
IMANI didn't do that. I'm the one who did that because I have information. Well, I know for a fact. Hold on. I know for a fact that there are 4 areas under MIF that the OSP is looking at: the gold trade, gold for oil, equity investment, Ejapa transactions, and purchase of land. And a number of people who are very popular in this country will come in due course, as I understand it. But I'm the one who is saying the 12 people, the 12 people who are being investigated, the 12 people who are being investigated by OSP and who have actually been arrested, questioned and granted bail, except Sledge, who couldn't fulfill his bail conditions and was detained. These are the matters that are attracting the OSP's attention. But let's speak to it about this particular one by the IMANI.
Let me also make another point. And clearly, you've held right to that proof, and he's admitted that 7.2 that they put out there is a counterfactual. The other word for counterfactual is phantom. It is not a loss. The only loss that has been recorded on paper by Bank of Ghana is 2.14 billion cedis, which I have a document from Bank of Ghana I've shared with you, Samson, for basically to talk about it. But you know what? Since Bright did his beautiful presentation, for me, I cannot do that because the document I'm going to rely on is basically documents that are subject to confidentiality. So it will be difficult for me to put those documents in a slide and share with the public. But I will read contents of those documents as I go along in my presentation. Let me make this quick fact. I want to now dwell on 3 areas. One is to let everybody watching and Bright, IMANI, and everybody know that the gold for oil, everybody that took part in gold for oil went through proper due diligence. Bank of Ghana undertook what is called a KYC, and those companies were also sent to the FIC, the Financial Intelligence Center, for them to basically screen these companies. There are 2 letters that I would basically share with the public, the contents of it, right? One where Bank of Ghana rejected the company, and one that Bank of Ghana accepted the company when Bank of Ghana did their due diligence. Now, the second part will be the process by which the gold for oil processes went through from BOST to MPA to Ministry of Energy, then to the Bank of Ghana. Then the third part will be to discuss the environmental the idea of people trying to pollute the publics with certain ideas that a program that basically came on board reduced premium from $150 to $80 to $50, from $50 to $80 was a bad program. These premiums we talk about are premiums that affect you and I, our pocket. But let me go on to discuss the due diligence that happened. Look, when the government, through cabinet, came up with gold for oil, it was not a program. They seem to be obsessed with BOST. My brother Wright said that this program was done on behalf of BOST. No, it was never done on behalf of BOST. Those that ran the program was MPA, Ministry of Energy, and Bank of Ghana. BOST was only an agency of gold for oil. Anytime BOST wanted to do anything, BOST have to write through the necessary channels to get approvals. But let me now start off by reading you one letter. There is a company that, in that document that I call frivolous, a company called Cibet DMCC, okay? When you look at, there's a document that's from Bank of Ghana on the, okay, there's a document from the Bank of Ghana I'll give you the date. On the April 12, 2024, Bank of Ghana wrote letter of engagement onboarding CBET DMMC onto the gold for oil. The above subject refers, please. We are pleased to inform you that CBET DMCC has been successfully screened for anti-money laundering and combating and financial terrorism with the necessary know your client KYC conducted and can be onboarded as a fuel supplier under the gold for oil. Now, this is a company that also got approval from the FIC that they can be dealt with, because the FIC screened them among other companies so that they can be, and anybody who cares to know, my brother Kwadwo Poku has all the files in FIC, they can go and ask them. Now, let me give you another letter, which is strange to know that there's a company called Goldstream Global. Now, Goldstream Global, recently, on the September, some date in September, right? 9th September 2025, Gold Board, this current Gold Board, have signed a $1 billion investment deal with Goldstream Global. It will surprise you that Goldstream Global was turned down by Bank of Ghana when they did their KYC, when they wanted to be part of the gold for oil. Now, I'll give you on August 8, 2024, Bank of Ghana wrote to BOSS saying that the bank has reviewed the request from your institution on onboarding Goldstream Global as a fuel supplier under the G4O. After careful consideration, the bank does not recommend Goldstream Global as a supplier under the gold for oil. This same Goldstream Global today, Gold Board under the NDC has signed a $1 billion contract with them. But under the gold for oil, Bank of Ghana rejected them. So look, this will tell you that there was a process in place where some people were subject to proper due diligence of Bank of Ghana and proper due diligence by FIC. Now, when the company is onboarded and they've been agreed to supply, what they do is that, look, as any other international oil trading company does, and in that document, they talk about people, single sourcing and all these things. Look, companies that supply products into Ghana, nobody does due diligence on them because it is a private transaction. Bulk distribution companies goes around to find their suppliers. I see that document talks about Netwise. Netwise today is supplying products into the market for BDCs. The way our downstream works, before a product enters our market, before a ship berths at the port, the ownership of that product has been transferred to a Ghanaian company, which is a BDC. So the issue of whether companies can perform or not perform is a purely private and commercial. And BOST, yes, companies were writing to BOST to be part for gold for oil, but BOST on their own never decided who becomes part for gold for oil. They write to the Ministry of Energy, to the Bank of Ghana, for Bank of Ghana to now admit, as I have now read to you in these documents. When these companies have been onboarded and they send their products into the country, the product comes in. There are charges that BOST charge for the rack rate, the unloading, the storage, and all those things, right? BOST in gold for oil was only earning a commission. Now they also charge for the storage and the racking and all those things. So what happens? The internal memos for BOST will now be generated for payment. So the GM4 trade will raise an internal memo. And I said it's unfortunate that because of confidentiality, I can't share some of these official documents online on the screen. But one of the things that happens is that when this document is sent, BOST now writes to NPA. NPA is the authority who regulates, who set the pricing and know how this thing works. Now, let me share an interesting letter and the contents with you so that you understand the role that NPA played in gold for oil. On the July 2nd, 2024, there was a letter that was written from BOST to NPA, and NPA was writing to the Minister of Energy. This is when, after BOST have submitted receipts and all the documents to NPA for payment, this is a letter that NPA wrote to the Bank of Ghana. Wrote to the Minister of Energy at the time. Request for payment to GMP Energy, Cyber DMCC, Netwise, and Polypro Trading. Now, it goes on to say that the National Petroleum Authority has received for request for payment from BOST, for payment to be made to these companies. The authority has reviewed the invoices and other documents submitted by BOST for each cargo, made the following observation. Now, listen to this. There were no variation in the authority computation of the amount owed to Polypro. Now, authority computed the amount for gasoline supplied by Seabed, and they were higher than the invoice amount by $366. Then they go on to now say that they've done the computation for Netwise and they do not find any variation. Then NPA will put their recommendation. This is NPA's recommendation. NPA says that in view of the above, the authority hereby recommend the following. Goes to the Minister of Energy. Then the Minister of Energy now also does his internal investigation on what has been submitted by NPA before they write to MP, they write to the Bank of Ghana for Bank of Ghana to pay these companies. Now, the accounts that were held at CBG was only a view only for reconciliation. Who had control, how payments were made, how everything was done by Bank of Ghana. The head of Bank of Ghana of this program at that time was our own brother, Zachary Mumuni, who is today the first deputy Bank of Ghana. So I don't get this whole thing where somebody wants to make it look like there is this opacity that they use. A government program that has 3 institutions that went through: NPA, Ministry of Energy, and Bank of Ghana.
What was so special about this that when you needed gold rate, you needed to get them by sole sourcing?
Gold rate was not part of Bank of Ghana program. That's I have told you over and over. Gold rate was not part of the Bank of Ghana program. MIF is not the same as gold for oil. And I don't know why you don't want to understand that.
You have your information, I have my information, and I can tell you.
My brother, I am telling you that gold rate, you can double check that. I am telling you, authority, that gold rate was not authorized by Bank of Ghana.
Let me also talk some.
Gold for oil.
Thank you, I've heard you, but I'm telling you on authority that gold for oil, gold trade was eventually at the hub of myth. Whether some will say it was imposed on them by the finance ministry or not, that's not the important thing.
Something, MIF is not part of the gold for oil. Gold for oil had 3 institutions, sorry, 4 institutions: Bank of Ghana, MPA, Ministry of Energy, and BOST. MIF was not part.
Thank you.
I don't know where you get this MIF thing from. You keep pushing this thing. I'm telling you, it's not true, and you keep pushing it.
Kwadwo, you need to relax about this. I want us to deal with the facts. In fact, we are wrapping up. But you hold on.
No, hold on. You are stating something. I'm telling you it's not true, but you want to keep pushing it.
Yes, when you give an information, you don't force me to take it. Okay? I recognize the information you have given. Our viewers have heard. So thank you for that. Yes, Bright, quickly, and I need to wrap up on this. Yeah.
No, I'm not done.
No, hold on. Could you hold on?
Please, I'm not done.
Could you hold on?
1 hour on
this I'm moderating this program. Please. I'm the one moderating this program. I'm not giving you 1 hour.
So what?
Bright was not giving 1 hour.
To go through
Bright was not giving 1 hour, and I'm not giving you equal time. Hold on. Bright, let's hear you.
But that was the point. Well, all the things that
please, production, can you cut Kwadwo off if he will not listen to me?